Good evening, everyone. Calling the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on Monday, January 22nd, 2024 to order at 5:35 p.m. Roll call.
Okay, commissioners, when I say your name, please indicate if you are present. Commissioner Admire,
Present.
and we have Vice Chair Coladonato excused. Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Diaz,
Present.
Commissioner
I
Finland.
don't have a thing, so.
Oh,
Projection.
wait, we have
Oh.
one over there. Where
No,
are we?
it's good.
Commissioner,
Pretty
we do
low.
Commissioner Finland.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Keon,
Present.
Commissioner Meyer,
Present.
Commissioner Moralia,
Present.
and Commissioner Nagaya is excused. So we have all members present with Commissioners Coladonato and Nagaya excused. And I just want to take one quick moment to welcome Commissioner Margaret Keong to our Parks and Rec Commission. So Margaret, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
The agenda was posted on Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Has everyone looked at the minutes from December? Hopefully you have. Any changes? There being none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Davis? Okay, and I'll do a roll call vote on the approval of our minutes from our December 18th meeting. Commissioner Admire,
Approved.
Commissioner Davis,
Approved.
Commissioner Diaz,
Approved.
Commissioner Finland,
Approved.
and Commissioner Keon. You don't have to approve the minutes just because you weren't a commissioner at that time, but otherwise Commissioner Meyer
Approved.
and Chair Moralia.
Approved.
Motion carries and minutes are approved. Thank you.
Okay, time for public comments. Do you have any?
Let's see, it looks like we do not have any public comment in the room, but we may have public comments who are joining us virtually tonight. So just give us 1 second to see if any members who have joined us via Zoom would like to speak during public comment. And if so, if you can just please use the raise hand feature and we will get you into the meeting. And no, we do not have any public comment this evening.
Okay, then guess what? It's time for the director's report.
Okay, all right, well, I am here, so let's give it a go. Okay, just a reminder that we have our new commissioner email addresses that we are using to communicate with you. If you are having any trouble, any technical issues, please reach out to myself or Janet, and we can work with our IT department to make sure that your commissioner email address is working. Of course, we're in January 2024, so our meetings are now back in person. So that means that our commissioners are expected to be at the meeting in person. However, our public can still join our meetings the same 3 ways that they could join our meetings previously. So in person, members can come to our meeting here in the large conference room at City Hall. We have a phone call in number that can be used by the public to join the meetings, as well as our Zoom video webinar function. So all of that remains the same. Just an update as well on our Parks and Rec items that went to City Council since our last meeting in December. So at the first meeting of the first City Council meeting of the year, City Council approved the contract to do the resurfacing of Sunrise Park Playground, and we'll talk about that project a little bit more later on the agenda. Coming up at this week's City Council meeting on January 25th, we have an item on the agenda to approve interim staffing for our Parks and Recreation Department with our request to bring in a interim assistant director until we can fill that recruitment. So that is on the calendar for Thursday of this week at City Council. We are still operating our 2 community centers as warming centers. So members of the community are welcome to come to our James O. Jesse Center or our Demuth Community Center to get in from the cold. At each of our meetings, we like to give a highlight or an overview since our last meeting of some of the work that our maintenance crews have been doing around the city to make sure that our spaces are maintained. A lot of work has taken place every month, but since December as well. Playground equipment was inspected. Painting of our park furnishings was completed for several of our parks. 25 tons of gravel was added to the City Hall Dog Park in the areas where the gravel had gotten low. And wasn't in line with the sidewalk. Landscaping occurred, the stadium was cleaned, as well as some miscellaneous sort of tree limbs that had to be removed in some of our various parks. Light sensors were replaced, leaking valves were replaced in restrooms, hinges were replaced and repaired. We had a lot of plumbing and drain repair work that took place, as well as signage was replaced at Desert Highland and other miscellaneous parks. For our swim center, as well as sort of our water features throughout the city, a number of items also took place, including some repairs on the valves of the Rainmaker fountain. The swim center had some issues with the heating sensors at the pool, so those heating sensors were repaired and the pool is back to a nice warm temperature for everyone. I do have some photos of some of the activities to just highlight some of those. So this is the painting of the park furnishings at our Desert Highland Park. And you can see our benches and picnic tables, as well as our waste receptacles, painted in a lovely green. Over at Demuth Park, same thing, annual painting refresh was completed with the bright blue color for our furnishings at Demuth Park. At the Demuth Dog Park, at the last meeting, we talked about the benches that we placed underneath the new shade structure at the dog park. And you can see in the top photo that those had not been painted yet, and those have now been painted blue to match the other site furnishings at Demuth Park. Back to James O. Jesse, we have a Measure J project to do sidewalk resurfacing, and I am very pleased to report that our maintenance and street crews were out getting that work started. That work should be completed this week. The weather has slowed us down just a bit with the ability to pour concrete, but otherwise you can see the work that has happened over the past week. So that will be completed, we anticipate by the end of January, unless it keeps raining, but I don't think that will occur in Palm Springs. So we're excited to finally get that Measure J project done. At our stadium, we did our ball field maintenance, which included edging as well as weeding. And this is some of those emergent issues that I mentioned in terms of the high winds sort of knocking down some limbs. So those were taken care of by our maintenance crews. Over at the city yard, some irrigation line was fixed from a previous tree removal. So there you can see that completed. We had some vandalism of an electrical box on the Dinah Shore Bridge, so that was also repaired in the past month. On South Palm Canyon, the island median has been getting a cleanup and sort of upgrade, so they've been regrading, and there will also be a tree planting taking place in that location, so that's in progress. This is that Rainmaker fountain valve replacement that took place earlier, I think this month. That may have been late December. And then just various plumbing related repairs to all of our facilities as needed. We ran 2 of our annual summer camp programs. So for Sunrise Park, we ran our 3-week, did I say summer camp? Not summer, it's very chilly, so winter camp, thank you guys. So we ran our 3-week winter camp program, which included a variety of activities, including hiking at Prescott Preserve, as well as bowling. So here's some photos from that winter camp session. At James O. Jesse, we also offer a 3-week winter camp session, and I've got some of those photos as well. And here you can see some of the fun dance classes that took place, as well as some rock climbing at Boomers as well. And our winter camp sessions are always really popular with our community. Some other activities that recently took place on Saturday, January 13th, we had our Youth Basketball Classic in collaboration or partnership with the Black History Committee. So that took place on Saturday, January 13th from 10 to 2. And here's some photos of that event. And there we have Commissioner Diaz as well. Saturday, January 20th, we had our monthly DCC community market from 8 to 12. And we have just 2 more of those for the remainder of this year since we run that just 6 times a year. And that is our new community market that we just started last year. It's $10 to reserve a spot for those who are interested in selling household items. Also, we have a mature adult program that takes place on Wednesdays at the James O. Jesse Center. So I've got just some photos from some of their recent celebratory activities as well. A couple save the dates. We have a lot of things that are coming up, and I just have a couple save the dates though for you right now. So this is not an exhaustive list of everything that's happening in Palm Springs. But this Saturday, January 27th, we're having a basketball tournament at the Demuth Community Center, and that will start at 8 a.m. And that's for those who are 18 and up. Saturday, February 17th, we have our next DCC community market, and then that last one will be in March for this year. And then we're going to talk about this a little bit more on tonight's agenda, but I'm really excited to announce that we have identified our first date for our first community workshop for Parks and Rec Master Planning. So that will take place on Thursday, February 22nd. We're still finalizing the time. I believe it's going to start at 5:30. So we'll get that information out to you and the community as soon as possible. But otherwise, please save the date or save the evening, Thursday, February 22nd, and we'll be meeting in the pavilion in Sunrise Park. At our previous meetings, I mentioned that we have a new early childhood development program that we are going to run out of the James O. Jesse Center. And we have a request for proposals for instructors for that program for us. So our original deadline was January 3rd, and we have extended that until February 3rd. So if you know of anyone who's interested in being the instructor for that program, they can submit their proposal through the city's Planet Bids process. So basically on that one, we just sort of extended the date to make sure we had enough interest. We have made some nice headway with a number of our recruitments. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that at our city council meeting this week, city council will be asked to approve an interim strategy for us to bring in an interim assistant director. The city has also decided to work with a recruiting firm to hire our permanent assistant director. So we've been working with that recruiting firm just over the past couple of weeks, and that position should be posting shortly. We still have some lifeguard recruitments that we are still working through. And our park rangers right now, we are having existing Parks and Recreation staff who've expressed interest in being our acting park rangers, sort of slide into those 3 vacancies. So that should take place, or they should be sort of on duty no later than the beginning of February. We're just really completing the paperwork process. And we're also really excited that we have existing staff in our department that were interested in those promotional opportunities for us. So recruitments then that are still pending, we'll have a project manager position that is still vacant that needs to be filled. We have our facility manager position, and that position is for the Demuth Community Center. We will post the park ranger recruitments, and then we have a rec program assistant position. So we'll continue working with our HR department to get those positions posted so that we can get our vacancies filled. But otherwise, good news in terms of our staffing and recruitments is that we will have help shortly with a new assistant director as well as acting park rangers. So we'll be fully staffed on our park rangers.
So the interim assistant director has been identified?
The interim,
Oh,
yes,
good.
has been identified. Okay, and then I wanted to take a second to welcome some staff from our Public Works Department. And of course, you guys remember just to the right of me is David McAbee, our Public Works Director. And then I also wanted to make sure that you had a chance to meet Daniel Martinez, who is our Assistant Director. Daniel, do you want to come up? Daniel is not new to the city, but Daniel was recently promoted, or actually, I don't know how recent it was, into the Assistant Director position.
It's been about 2 months now.
Been about 2 months. So obviously, Daniel is key to helping make sure that our parks and recreational spaces are looking their best. And then I'm also really excited to introduce our new project manager as well. And this is Erin Bergenson. You're welcome to say yes.
Oh,
Anything
just,
to-
wanted to say hi, everybody. Been here about a month and a half.
Nice.
With the city about a month, so, yeah, good to meet you all.
And David, did you want to say anything about what the team will be doing or anything, or?
Just real quick, one, I'm kind of freshly back as well after being out for several months, so it's good to see everybody. And look forward to working with Yvonne and all of you again. And as far as having Aaron and Daniel on board, that's certainly not only good for me, but it's really good for everything that we do, everything that she does with parks, because he will be integral in helping us get some of these projects completed and moving. So that's important for all of us. So really just happy to be back. And of course, we're here tonight, as always, we will be for questions we may have later.
Thank you guys for joining tonight. And that completes tonight's director's report.
Excellent job. Are we going over the 2024 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting calendar?
Yes. So
Excellent. Copy?
we have a copy and I have it, I'll have it on the screen as well. So here is a draft of our 2024 meeting calendar. And each year at the January meeting, we always ask you to adopt the calendar for the year. This helps our public know when we'll be meeting as well. Our commission obviously typically meets on the fourth Monday of each month with a couple differences there. So you'll see our May meeting. We've moved it up to the third Monday of the month due to the Memorial Day holiday. We will be having our annual summer recess in August. And we are also proposing that for the December meeting that we only schedule that one if needed. Obviously, between November and December, we have an enormous amount of events that take place. So we're thinking that we won't likely need to have the meeting in December unless we have any action items or projects that would require that. Other things I can remind you about in terms of our calendar. At the January meeting of each year, we do have you adopt the calendar for the year. At the June meeting, we do an annual fiscal year review of the previous year. At the July meeting, that is when we look at our chair and co-chair assignments, and you vote on the chair and co-chair of this commission. We also, at the July meeting, we look at the ad hoc committees that we have, and we do the ad hoc assignments. And then we do our annual onboarding or sort of Parks and Rec 101 in July of each year. And then the other meetings obviously are just, just meetings with project related updates as those occur. So this again is a copy of our proposed 2024 meeting calendar. And then we would need, of course, a motion and a second, and then a formal vote to adopt our calendar.
I move to approve the calendar.
Second.
Okay, and I'll quickly do a roll call vote. Commissioner Admire,
Approved.
Commissioner Davis,
Approved.
Commissioner Diaz,
Approved.
Commissioner Finland,
Approved.
Commissioner Keon,
Approved.
Commissioner Meyer,
Approved.
and Chair Moralia.
Approved.
Okay, motion carries.
So Recreation Master Plan update.
So since our last meeting, I showed this slide at our last meeting to talk about how we got to December to really do the official project kickoff with our master planning consultants. So this again just sort of shows you all of the work that we did over the past year to get to the point where we were able to officially kick off the project. At our last meeting on December 18th, we had our master planning consultant come in and do a presentation to introduce themselves to you. Since that meeting, we have been having regular meetings with the master planning consultants, and I just wanted to share some of those updates with you. So you, as well as the community, can get a sense of what Parks and Rec master planning will look like this year. So first, I just wanted to remind you of the master planning team. So we have 4 different firms that are assisting us with this process. We have Konkui Design Initiative, or KDI, who is serving as our project lead, and they are also specializing in the community engagement portion of master planning. We're also working with Agency, And they are a specialized firm that works in strategic planning as well as public realm implementation. They're going to be focused on our open space design as well as the urban planning side of the master plan. We're then working with Pros Consulting. They do a lot of consulting for government agencies. They're going to be focused on the needs assessment to identify those parks and recreation needs for the city, as well as ways to look at and maximize our revenue streams, and then develop the action plan for us in the city. And then that fourth firm is EPC Institute. They're a market research firm. They specialize also in working with government agencies, and they're going to be doing really the data collection as well as the survey side of master planning. We have been working with KDI on coming up with what the community engagement plan is going to look like, as well as the proposed timeline for rolling out that master planning with the community. In working with them, we've identified 3 different engagement types, or 3 different primary engagement types that would be taking place. Those would be a series of community workshops, a series of focus groups, and then working groups or steering committees, for another way of saying that one. And I'll just quickly walk you through each of those 3 types of engagement. So the first is community workshops. So during the master planning process, we are envisioning that there would be 4 community workshops. These would be participatory public engagement sessions, as well as an opportunity for KDI to be sharing information with the community. In terms of mapping out the timeline for that right now, we are envisioning that those 4 community workshops would take place, one in February, one in March, one in May, and then the last in September. And of course, that February one is the one that I've just asked you to save the date, February 22nd. And again, that would be the first community workshop. And that would also be an opportunity for KDI to talk about the approach to master planning, as well as do a couple activities. I'll talk a little bit about that more in upcoming slide. So that second type of engagement will be focus groups. So they are envisioning that we will schedule 6 focus group sessions during the course of master planning. And these would be stakeholder input sessions. And they would also do these sessions at or as pop-ups at events that are already taking place. As part of KDI's core strategy, that while we want to do community workshops that are just focused on master planning, they do want to meet people where they already are, so that people who are at other events can also participate in the master planning process. The first 2 of those are envisioned to also take place in February, adjacent to that community workshop meeting. So while they are here, those focus group sessions will take place too. I think it's the next 2 days. Third type of engagement is the working group. This is our interdepartmental team that is going to assist the department, as well as our consultant, in advancing the project. Of course, on this sort of working group or steering committee, we would ask that our 2 Parks and Rec commissioners that are on the ad hoc, so that would be Commissioner Meyer, I believe, and Commissioner Davis, would also participate in those meetings. And then we also have staff from other departments, such as our planning director and other departments, that would be working to provide some of that technical expertise to advance the project forward. So back to our first of 4 community workshops. So again, that will be on Thursday, February 22nd. It will be held in the pavilion. We're still, again, working on finalizing the time for that. It will include a presentation from our master planning consultant to talk about how they're going to approach master planning, answer the question, what is master planning to? They will explain the framework for all of the meetings, and then there will be a series of activities that will take place so that we can start collecting feedback from our community about what they want to see for Parks and Rec. And I believe that is the end of that update on our Parks and Rec master planning. Am I going too fast? Or?
Yeah, that's. There's just a lot to take in. Well, now you're moving on to Parks and Recreation projects.
Yes, so at each of our meetings, of course, we like to give an update of the projects that we're working on. I'm going to ask our other staff if you want to just sort of join us at the table in the event that there are any questions. And it's been enjoying or no? First table or no?
No,
Yeah,
probably just
probably
at
not.
this point.
So Aaron up here, and then we also have Roberto from our engineering department. So with all of us here, one of us will likely know the answer to the question. Hopefully I didn't shoot us in the foot by saying that ahead of time. But first project, of course, is our Desert Highland Shade Structure and Ball Field project. The shade structure is obviously already installed, and this is that weird slide that never shows the photo, and I keep forgetting to fix that before the meetings. But shade structure, of course, is in. This is a Prop 68 funded project, as well as the shade structures for the swim center were a Prop 68 funded project. So in terms of next steps, we need to work still on the planning of the ball field turf installation. And right now, that's really just with the Parks and Recreation Department. We haven't had enough time to advance our planning approach for how we're really going to tackle that project. And then when that's completed, we will need to comply with the Prop 68 grant reporting requirements. Any questions on that one? Next project, we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the meeting. So that is our walking path resurfacing for Desert Highland or James O. Jesse Community Center. So that project was started in January, and our hope right now is to have that project completed in January as well. And again, that is a Measure J funded project, and I've got sort of the aerial there to show you where that walking path is, just to orient you to the site. And that walking path had been made of just sort of like it was like stepping stones.
Bricks,
Yeah.
separate.
Yes, we want to make sure that it's got a full concrete walking
Okay,
path.
good.
Just
I almost
yeah.
bid it, because I went in there at night and I
Yeah.
didn't see it, that it was dug like that, and I.
Oh, you mean with our, oh, I see, like in its current shape. Okay, well, we'll
Yeah,
make sure we.
And I know there was stuff up, but I didn't, and I stepped
You were
down,
so
I was like,
used to
whoa,
walking through the
and there's
grass there.
older ladies going in there behind me, I thought, whoa.
Okay, all right, well, we'll make sure that, yeah, that we've got good signage out there, but
It's hard
otherwise
to see it, yeah, because it's not,
it's
super
not
well lit,
illuminated
yeah.
enough. Okay. Otherwise on that one though, again, I think we should be good to go and have that project completed in January. And I know that one, it has been one that has been on our list a very long time, and our streets department as well as our public works department was able to get that one moving forward for us. Next project is the outdoor exercise equipment for James O. Jesse or Desert Highland Park as well. So since our last meeting, I think I had mentioned that in December, we had a community outreach meeting to get some feedback from Desert Highland Gateway Estates community about the type of equipment that they wanted to see. In January, we also had a second meeting to get additional feedback as well as really start looking at those cost estimates. So in terms of our next steps right now, we are in the contracting and procurement phase of that. And this is the exercise equipment that will be installed kind of around the perimeter of the park. And it will be along the new walking path that will go in. So the exercise equipment will go in first, and then the walking path that you guys might remember from last year will be completed second. And
Can
the
I ask
commissioner
questions
yes.
now?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's the best.
I
think
know,
it's
if
good.
I wait,
That works with
it'll
you.
be gone. I went to the community meeting, at Desert Highland Community Meeting, a few Tuesday nights back. And they were discussing this, and they were discussing how they were told, I wanna say it was
The funding.
90, the funding, so it was like, there was a huge discrepancy on what they were told they were gonna be able to spend, and then what the pricing was in like the catalog or something, and then when they chose stuff, it was astronomically different, obviously much more expensive, which then would limit the amount of equipment.
Yeah, so I think we've gotten that resolved so that we can still procure that existing list that the community recommended.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah, so that's good news on that one. Oh, and then, timeline, the vendor had told us it would be like somewhere between 4 to 5 weeks once we've completed sort of the, contracting and procurement process to get the project done. So I would say on that one, we're probably looking at Q2, the second quarter of this year to get that completed. And again, that was a Measure J funded project. Playgrounds. So we've been talking a lot about playgrounds over the past year. Erin is our project manager who's working on our playground replacements for us. I'll have Erin talk about a little bit about the current status and just remind you guys about how we got to today. So last year, February 27th, you recommended the playground equipment for our parks. It went to city council, then the following April. And then immediately after that, our vendor basically started the procurement and fabrication process for that exercise equipment. And then I think things are going pretty well, right, Erin?
Yes, so my first order of business here was to get into Victoria Park Playground, and demolition of the existing equipment started today. And the contractors indicated the next couple of weeks will be dedicated to demo. Beyond that, we should be completing Victoria Park in 4 to 6 weeks roughly, with the Muth Park starting directly after that, and that does include the shade structures as well.
Perfect. Any questions
Are
on?
we still gonna do like a grand opening or something for that?
Yes, absolutely. So we love a good party. So when the playground is ready for the reopening, we will be planning a special sort of event, ribbon cutting. So we will keep you apprised of those dates as well.
Good. Commissioner Diaz, did you see them demolition? I went like
Yeah.
last weekend and there was nothing done yet.
Nothing's been, yeah. Yeah, I had gone by as well, and I saw families out in the grass, but there's our
Still
only
fenced
playground
there,
stuff,
okay.
yeah.
Yes, well, it's looking good today. There were large trucks there doing big things.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
oh, absolutely.
How many kids are impacted? Do we know the capacity and how many kids actually use those parks?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know, the data related answer to that. Is that something we've ever looked at before? The number of kids that use each of our playgrounds? Yeah, it's a great question. It's a
I'm
great
just thinking
question.
with this renovation, you might attract a lot more kids, so it'd be kind
Yeah.
of nice to know how successful the project actually is.
Yep. And obviously our plan is, so on Victoria Park, we had to close the playground down early. Demuth Park, of course, is still open right now. So of course, our strategy is to only close the parks or the playgrounds when we're actively doing the project to bring in the new equipment. But Victoria has been closed, obviously, for several months, which has, of course, been very inconvenient for that community. But as Erin mentioned, you know, we are on it today and we'll be done shortly. So probably late February, may creep into March or so.
Yeah.
And then we'll keep you posted about that event. And then Demuth will be next. For other playgrounds, we are also working on the shade structure for the Bristow Park Playground. So right now, Bristow Park Playground does not have a shade structure. Berto is actually working on that project with us right now. We're already through the design development process. And anything you want to mention on that one?
We've actually hit a pretty big milestone there, so it's currently being fabricated, and so we're looking at installation towards late March. So that should be installed by early March.
Perfect.
Is it similar to the shade structure in Demuth and Sunrise, or what kind of shade structure is it, and where is it
Is it going near the
exactly?
basketball court?
Yeah,
There'll
that's
be
what I want to know too.
So there'll be two of them and they'll go over the playground equipment. So these are the
Okay.
shade
Oh,
structures
okay.
for the playground
Gotcha.
equipment specifically.
And they
it's-
are like that wind sail material
Yeah.
or whatever you call that.
It's from USA Shade, who did the shade structure for the Demuth Dog Park,
Yeah,
as
okay.
well as James O'Jesse and our swim center. And I'm trying to think if there's any other locations. That might be it, that they've done it this recently. Also for playground replacements, so Victoria Park is being done now, Demuth will be done next. And we want to make sure we keep going through all of our playgrounds to get those updated. So the next two playgrounds that we'll be working on will be Baristo and then Ruth Hardy. So I'll be working, of course, with our park enhancement ad hoc, and that's Commissioner Diaz and Commissioner Nagaya on those plans for the equipment. And then once we have those plans ready, we will bring that forward to you for your recommendation. So in terms of that, we're in just sort of the the planning process with Miracle Recreation. And then we'll go to our ad hoc next and then bring it to the commission, starting with Bristow first. And then that new playground equipment will sort of dovetail with the shade structures that are being installed. Other playgrounds, of course, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that council had approved the resurfacing for Sunrise Park. So that's just an image there of the Sunrise Park playground. And we are currently in the contracting process for that. And installation will happen likely in the second quarter of this year for that one. Recreation ball field lighting project. So this one we talk about in each of our meetings. The contract went to Southern Contracting. It was a $4.97 million contract to do new lighting on our ball fields at Demuth as well as the stadium. So this project kicked off in April of last year, and it is still on target to be completed by end of April this year. The next project is our Demuth Pickleball Court Expansion Project, and Berto is our project manager on this one. We've made a lot of progress on this one. As you'll remember, we did our first community outreach meeting on November 8th, and working with the community to get feedback on those preliminary concepts from Kimberly Horn. We had Kimberly Horn come to the November commission meeting to present an overview of what they were thinking based on your feedback and the community's feedback. We had them further develop their design concept. And then we had a second community outreach meeting on December 12th to collect additional feedback from the community. Based on all of that feedback, they are now working on further developing the design concept. So the next steps will include us going back, working with our pickleball ad hoc. So that's Commissioner Finland and Commissioner Davis. And then doing one more community outreach meeting, and then we will bring that project forward to you for your recommendation, and then we would be going to council. In terms of timeline, we are envisioning that we potentially would be able to get to the commission meeting in February or March. March is probably a little bit more likely, but I've got that in Q1 right now for that sort of target estimate on that. If you have any other questions, we're here to answer them. And I don't know, Commissioner Finland, you have anything that you want us to sort of ask or add on this project?
No, just essentially, it's our holding pattern right now, the project, but it is moving forward, and I'm confident that we'll be able to work out logistical issues and move forward in a timely fashion with this project.
Perfect.
I have a
Anything
question.
else? Mhm.
What did we find out about the manhole and the trees?
So we are working with an arborist to prepare us a report on the trees. So we know how to best manage any tree removal in the location of the new footprint. In terms of relocating the manhole, we did meet with the wastewater treatment plant. We did that last week, I believe that was, or the week before. And it does not look like it will be a cost-effective or feasible way to approach the project. So Kimberly Horn, though, is back. So our design team is back at the drawing board to come up with some additional concepts for us to look at. But it is not likely that we would be bringing forward a recommendation to take on a relocation of the manhole and all of the pipes.
But we don't think
Associated
either of
with it.
those things will affect the timeline, right?
The study with the arborist and
And
things like that?
so when we look at the next design, will those things be incorporated?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yvonne, on the manhole cover, do I recall that the design that they have we didn't need to move it? if we-
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We did get at the December 12th meeting, we did get feedback from the community that we should look into that
For the
option.
north,
Yes.
and, okay.
And that's what, well, we basically, spent time sort of, looking at the trees a little bit more and looking at that manhole to see if it was possible to successfully do a relocation that would not really derail the project. So that's where that one's at. Did I miss anything on that one, Berto?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay, all right, perfect. Any other questions on pickleball? Okay. Swim center. So over the summer, we did our first community outreach meeting with Interactive Design Corporation and our architect for that project to begin to start getting community feedback on that. They continued their design development process. We did a second community outreach meeting in December where the architect received additional information from our swim community about the types of features and how they wanted to use, primarily a lot of the feedback was about the locker room space. They are back at the drawing board doing additional design development, and staff is continuing to meet with our architect on that project. Next steps there will include a third community outreach meeting after the architect has completed the revised plans. Oh, and also, of course, work with our ad hoc. I forgot that step. So work with our ad hoc, do a third community outreach meeting, and then we will be ready to do a presentation to the commission. And right now I am anticipating that we would hit March for that presentation, and that would be a presentation from the architect. So you would see where we're at, and then we could get a recommendation from you on that project then before it would go to council. And then just a reminder, so that project includes the ADA access, the locker rooms, as well as the fencing around the swim center. So that is the scope of that project. Demuth Park. So Demuth Park, of course, has a large multifaceted project that is rolling out there. So there is the project for the large dog park. There's the project for the small dog park. There's and Kimley Horn, of course, is our design team on this one as well. There's the project to pave the parking lot at the Demuth Community Center. There is the project to construct a new 5-stall restroom in Demuth Park, and that would look similar to the restroom that was installed near the pickleball courts not too long ago. The Little League parking lot would be done. Soccer field parking lot would also have to be done. The stage would be demoed. There would be sidewalk restoration throughout, as well as installation of drinking fountains. Much of that project, or much of the community outreach on this project, is going to be focused on the dog parks, of course, because we have an ad hoc on the dog parks as well. On the dog park side of it, we have been working with Kimley Horn. We've been looking at some preliminary concepts for the large dog park as well as the small dog park. We will be scheduling a ad hoc meeting with our dog park ad hoc, which is Chair Moralia and Vice Chair Coladonato, shortly in the next couple of weeks to get feedback on those preliminary concepts. And then we would do our first community outreach meeting to get feedback from the public on those two designs. This project does have grant funding associated with it. So the completion of this project is targeted for June of 2025. And then Berto, are there any updates on any of the other components of the project that we'd want to mention or that I didn't mention?
Yeah, just to expand a little bit on the, so what we have going on with the soccer field parking lot and the Little League parking lot, just to give people an idea of the scope there, is the drainage project. So if you go out
Yeah,
there
which is the one
today,
floods all the time.
yes, so you have both of them.
Okay.
Little League and the soccer side, right between the soccer fields and the, what would be the large dog park, flood. So it's gonna include the drainage project for that, both parking lots. So, and so those are the updates. So that's all under design development as well. The soccer fields, we met with, both leagues, AYSO and Palm Springs Soccer League, to really give them an idea of, there's really not much we can do other than keep the playing fields where they are now. So there's really limited space for it. So currently the Kimley Horn, who's done a great job overall on Demuth Park, have already surveyed the site. We met a couple weeks ago and they're just currently under design on that. So to give you all like what the main scope and concerns were, for the soccer fields is to really get irrigation boxes, things like that, you know, flatten out the fields and getting like irrigation, which is what everybody's concern is. So many injuries have happened over, from what I hear, over the years, just stepping on irrigation boxes when we run, things like that. So that, you know, there's really not much we can do other than kind of widen the fields a little bit and use what we have. And that's really what the scope is gonna be with the fields. And you're gonna see this scope really towards more the end of the overall Dimmu Park project.
Was that supposed to be on the slide?
Let's see, and yeah, that's kind of what we have so far.
Have we talked about the, what do you call that thing? By the ball fields, the netting, so that the balls don't end up in the dog park? Has that been added to the scope of this?
Oh, we don't see, I mean, that wouldn't be a
Yeah.
concern with the soccer fields.
But it's in the dog, it's
But
in,
no,
it's
I'm
in the
talking
dog
for the
park
dog
project,
park.
yes,
It's
yes,
right next to the
yeah,
baseball fields, and then there should be a,
yes, that's in the dog park,
Okay.
concept from Kimley Horn. So that includes sort of the screens
Yeah.
to, yeah,
Okay.
capture sort of, yes, stray balls.
I see, foul balls.
Yeah,
Into
there
the
you go.
small dog park area, okay.
Yeah,
No, the large one,
the
yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
He jumped, yeah.
Oh,
he
right,
started
right,
on
right, yeah,
different-
sorry,
yeah.
field
okay.
7 and 8.
Yeah, you were
Field
talking about
7.
soccer,
Okay,
and
sorry,
then-
got
yeah,
it, yes, that was brought up, but they are putting.
Just trying to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Field 7, yeah, Field 7, you can see that's gonna really, a lot of home runs go into that area.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, so they've incorporated that into their preliminary concepts, so you'll get to see that then shortly. Anything else on leveling soccer fields or? So that actually completes our, project, update. So as you can see, we finally have a lot of really big projects that are in motion. And a lot of community outreach that we'll be doing, and all of this, of course, will dovetail into the master planning process as well. So we're not doing projects in isolation of master planning, so we're making sure that everyone knows what's already in motion. And just because something's in motion, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be sort of considering new projects as part of master planning. So that is it, and thank you guys too for your updates too.
that means Commissioner Keown has to join an ad hoc.
Sounds like
Just say
perfect
no.
timing.
Just say no.
It's like our next agenda is on here.
Can you give me that little slide so I can?
You bet.
Yeah.
There you go.
The first one is dog park, which we kind of just talked about, right? Master plan. Anything?
Commissioner Davis, do you want to add anything to what Yvonne covered already? I think
We tried to cover everything in the previous sections for you guys tonight.
we'll attend the meeting on the
Okay.
22nd. Yeah, of course.
Right during modernism week? You're killing me.
I know. It's just really hard to keep advancing all the projects. So we must do.
I don't get it. Park enhancements is Commissioner Nagaya and who else?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We've got
We've just gotten
playgrounds,
the big
we've got.
report. I
Yeah.
think we're good.
Pickleball?
We covered it.
Swim center, I think we also covered. I don't, who's on the swim center? Just me?
Meyer.
Yeah, okay.
I had a question about the swim center. I know the sensors were an issue last week. Is that,
Yes.
is the equipment, I should have asked this earlier, is the equipment something that's being contemplated, upgrades being contemplated as part of the new upgrade plan? Or is that an independent cost?
So
So
that
it's
is a
not in the
project.
other project.
Okay.
It's not in that project, but yeah, I'll
Okay.
have David answer.
Okay, great, thank you.
So to answer your question, yes, that is absolutely a project, but it's one that we're trying to tackle after this, because that will involve the actual pool itself.
Yeah, okay. That'll be a major undertaking, I'm sure. Yeah,
So
okay,
happy
thank
to
you.
talk about that more at some.
At some point, great, thank you, that's all.
So no more ad hoc updates?
I think I will also reach out to Commissioner Young as well, to make sure that she has a good briefing, sort of on those 5 different ad hocs we have, and then maybe we can identify which ad hoc you might like to participate in.
Pickleball or swim center.
I think pickleball's well covered. Yeah, I would like to learn a lot more about the master plan, actually.
Okay, perfect.
Time for commissioner comments. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I'm going.
Got it.
Couple things I said I would bring to Parks and Recs Commission from JOJ, James O. Jesse Desert Highland Community Center. One is the kitchen is very, very old and outdated. So one of the requests was, is there any way we could work on some updates in the kitchen, safety and et cetera, equipment? And, you know, perhaps we can sweet talk Measure J as well. And then, in that gymnasium, there are no acoustic panels, and I have been in there for 100 different events. And even with a good, we did upgrade the sound system right when all the, there's all kinds of discussions down there about all sorts of things, a lot of, youth and gang issues and violence, et cetera. And so different people were going in there to speak, and you have to be really good at hearing, which is not me, or be able to, it's just really, really awful. We try to do music festivals and things in there, and you can't hear what the singers are saying. You can hear that there's noise, but you can't identify words that are coming out of people's mouths, because maybe just inlaid, you know, sound panels, at my gymnasium at my school, we did that with a nice sound system and it works, but it's just brutal in there. And if you've ever been there for anything and they did the Halloween thing or the Christmas activity, it's just really rough. So those are 2 things that the community asked me to bring forward.
Perfect. We've got those noted. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Next month is going to be, as everyone knows, Black History Month. And I just want to share with the group, this is something that's open to the community, anyone who's interested. There's going to be an event on Saturday, February 10th. And that will be at 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. at the Hilton Hotel. And there's going to be a guest speaker, and her name is Carlotta Wallace Lanier. And she was part of the Little Rock Nine. And that was a historic event from 1957. She'll be coming to speak at the Hilton with regard to her experiences at that time, and her visions that she sees for America in going forward. The event will be at the Hilton. It's $65 per person. And if you need any further information, anyone can reach out to me, or if you go to the website desertdemocrats.org, you'll be able to do registration information to attend that event. But it's open to the community, and it's being done in a commemorative fashion with regard to Black History Month.
What was the website again?
The website desertdemocrats.org.
And I'll just piggyback on that with, as a vice president of the Palm Springs Black History Committee. If you go to palmspringsblackhistory.org, that's our website. We have a lot of events that are gonna happen. Thank you for saying that, and triggering me. Every Thursday night, starting with February 1st, we are partnering with Palm Springs Art Museum, and it's those free Thursday nights. At 5 p.m. is the opening night on February 1st, and then every Thursday night thereafter, we'll be working in conjunction with them and programming at the museum. The Black History Gala is February 3rd at 6 p.m. is cocktail hour, 7 p.m. the event starts. We're handing out a lot of community awards, and it'll be at Margaritaville. And if you need a ticket, you can buy one of those online as well. I'm trying to think, we're gonna have an adult basketball tournament. Let me just try to find all my dates. That'll be February 17th at James O. Jesse Desert Highland Unity Center Gym. And then there's other events, but the other final one, which would be fantastic if Parks and Recs Commission I know they're working, the Parks and Recs Department will be helping us make it successful, but we will have the Black History Parade and Town Fair downtown on the last Saturday, which is the 24th of February. And parade starts at 11, and then the town fair end is in the downtown park at noon. And we have in the past had some commissioners, Parks and Recs represented and walk in the parade to support the Black History Committee. So you're all invited. I'll be helping work things, do things, that kind of thing, but we would love that support. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, if nobody else wants to say anything, I would make ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. We are adjourned at 6:30 p.m.